I'm Syaqil Sarafian.
I'm Lim Xian.
I'm Brinda Menon.
We've all been given a design job each.
I would be out of fashion if I was in the 30s.
So if my machine breaks down, I'll call you in.
For a first timer, I do see the potential.
And we're hyped to see where this will take us.
It's my turn. Vintage with a modern twist and a mascot that all Singaporeans can relate to? Challenge accepted. The research for my design brief is going to be hands-on, and it will require some heavy lifting.
You can bring this over to the table for me, heavy.
Graphic design is the art of visual communication. Inspiration for it can come from anywhere. For me, pop culture references and anime are my inspiration for my craft. I studied animation in Ngee Ann Polytechnic, and graphic design was one of the modules. I soon realized that I enjoyed working with this art form.
From my research of Uncle Saba's Poppadoms, he has a wide variety of flavors and also packaging styles. From canisters to packets, and also that they are very popular in 25 different countries. Alright, so I finally got all three of my flavors of choice, starting with the original, the sour cream and onion, and also the mala flavor. Oh, it's just hot and spicy, but it has a mala flavor over here. Let's start with the original first. Bottoms up. The original, not too salty, has nice hints of like spices as well. It definitely tastes like a Poppadom that you can find in a hawker center. Just as you have expected of sour cream and onion, rich onion flavor in sour cream, but also the lentil flavor isn't really gone at all. And mala flavor, not too spicy, and also not too pungent either. Oh, I think this might be my favorite actually. Let me try one more.
There are only so many chips I can eat in the name of research. So I'm going to meet the man behind the Poppadoms now. The product is actually the brainchild of Bhavani Foods, a company already famous for its raw Poppadom product. The outfit started out as R. Kailasan Pillai and Company in 1919 under the watchful eyes of Srinivas Saba's grandfather. In 2015, he and his father went one step further and invented the ready-to-eat Poppadoms in a can.
There's a lot of brands out there that have made their own chips out of corn kernel, out of potatoes. Why are you the first to do lentil?
I've been eating it my entire life. All of my friends from childhood, every single one of them had loved it. So I thought, you know what? Nobody's thought about it. Why don't I?
Srinivas shares with me an interesting anecdote about the brand's backstory. I didn't even know they had a mascot.
So one day I was walking down Gardens by the Bay and I was thinking, what could be a really great mascot for my company? And lo and behold, there was actually an otter sitting by the bank, and I thought this will be the perfect motto or emblem of the country, but also as a mascot for us. So Syaqil, I have a small task for you. We have pop-ups like this in all malls across Singapore. But what I would love is for you to help us with having a great signboard which can really capture the essence of our product, and also a carrier bag which I hope one day will become iconic as people take it all across Singapore. So whatever should be the signboard, it should be something that truly quintessentially Singaporean. because that's what our brand represents, and we're a very proud Singaporean brand.
What do you envision it to be when you put it up there to the wall?
There's two things. It needs to be a mixture of vintage and modern. It's a snack from our childhood, so that's the vintage part. But then we live in a modern society and tastes are always changing, so that needs to be the modern part. Right now, what we have is great, but you know, it's slightly a bit of a cookie cutter approach.
A signboard and a carrier package?
Yeah.
I think I get an idea of what you really want. I accept your challenge.
Right.
I grew up in modernized Singapore and I'm a very contemporary person. So trying to draw something of Singapore's heritage into the design would mean that I have to do very, very deep research into the subject before I can deliver something to him.
Srinivas is hoping to launch the new signboard and carrier bags at Uncle Saba's next pop-up event. Taking the time into consideration, I better get cracking immediately. My first meeting with Mr. Srinivas really went well. Something very interesting that he showed me was how there's a nice stylized comic graphic at the back. I think that this order here should be in front here to really attract customers as well, to sort of tell people that you're a fun brand, because it is the mascot and it looks cute as well. Maybe that's what I should try and sketch out, show it to him and see whether he likes it,
When it comes to this otter that I've drawn, I'm not sure if this is what Srinivas might have actually hoped, but you know what? I really like it and I think he might like it as well. So let's go on with this.
In order to design the carrier bag for Uncle Saba's, maybe I can get some inspiration from vintage ones. There's a little shop that has a treasure trove of them from Singapore's yesteryear.
This is the most iconic bag because a lot of people remember Da Zhongguo mooncake and it's still used today. I think you still can request for this bag.
Is it the exact same design from like back then?
It should be. It hasn't changed in a while. This is the smaller one and this is the bigger one.
It's super fascinating how, I know this is print, but it looks like an actual calligraphy on the back.
It probably was written by someone, then replicated on the bag, because back then there were no fonts. This is a very well-known name in the past. It's Teki Pao. You can see the address is Orchard Market, Kiok Road.
And it's a 6-digit phone number as well.
So this is an example of a bag which has a mascot. So this pot-bellied man. And for Teki Pao, which is also popularly known as Tangling Pao.
Compared to the one you just showed me, it's day and night. It looks very high quality.
Yeah, it looks different, right? It's not brown, for example. It's become white paper, and there's orange and black printing. Oh, this is Blue Cross condensed milk bag.
And I noticed there's a jawi as well.
Yeah, so jawi was commonly used in the past before it became Romanized, right, to our current day using the alphabets. So there's jawi, Tamil, English and Mandarin.
Oh my goodness.
So this shows also our multicultural society in Singapore.
A very clean design as well.
Yes, it's beautiful. You can see the can is more three-dimensional because of the shadows that were drawn, different from the two-dimensional designs that you see in the other bags.
Rebecca has a collection of old receipts that she thinks will be useful for my research. They are a far cry from today's electronic printouts.
These are receipts.
Yes, these are receipts issued by goldsmith shops when you buy jewellery or gold in the past. Besides the very elaborate design of the receipt, so at the back also sometimes they are just as interesting. This shows like drawings of what they sold, jewelry rings, bangles.
This is quite a visual eye candy.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go this far with receipts, but they did.
They did, yes.
When it came to buy my old school, I would say that my inspiration mainly stemmed from the fact that it was like walking into a time capsule or like a museum. There was a lot for me to unpack from there. And eventually I got what I wanted, a visual library for me to refer to.
I got a lot of inspiration from Buy My Old School. Now, I want to find a shop that has preserved its paper bags from the past and find out how they designed them. After some digging, I found a perfect place and I'm here to have a look. Sin Hin Chuan Ki was established in 1965 and has grown from a family-owned business to become a leading retail distributor of garment, design supplies, and sewing accessories. Kenny Ng, the third-generation owner, shows me their first paper bag made in the 1960s.
Who designed this bag?
Oh, the printer did together with my grandfather. During the olden times, right, the printer will actually discuss with my grandfather what should be on the paper bag. So we knew we wanted to put this brand here, Y.K.K zipper. The main reason why, right, is because, right, it's one of the most established brand, okay, in Singapore during that period of time for our garment industry. So when people look at it, right, they look at our company and say, oh, Sin Hin Chuan Ki Private Limited, they distribute Y.K.K zippers. It's like a branding for us. Leveraging on one of the best product, okay, that we have as a main front for our advertising. And then he asked, what other things do you want to see? So we said, why not over at the other side? We showcase different products as well. So we also showcase the things that we carry as well, which is like a sewing thread, the elastic, the buckles, and the buttons. Especially when people actually coming to our shop sometimes, right, when they buy the things, right, small items, can we have a bag? We would love to give them this kind of bags because why? Nothing beats someone carrying the bag, walking around town, walking around this whole area, doing free advertising for us.
But as time went by, why do you guys switch out of it?
Oh, we have to change the way we produce the goods as well because number one, raw material, craft paper, it's very hard to print, very hard to produce. Due to production cost for the last 10-20 years, everything being sustainable is one of the main reasons why we change our advertising ways.
What about the new packaging? Do you also incorporate any of these graphic elements in the new ones as well?
Oh, yes. This is the current design. The logo has changed. Most of the designs I came up with myself, I brainstormed with one of my designer friends. See, the difference? Amazing. We call this the Pandora's box. The Pandora's box that opens up, okay, to showcase like everything when you walk in the shop. You didn't know that we sell so many things, so this is the kind of surprise that I want to give to the customers.
That's quite creative.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Just look at all this.
This looks a lot better in person.
We have produced so many bags over the years, okay, from small to big, and for different usages, you see. This is version 1. Version 1. And then we decided, hey, we should follow our corporate color. And then we added this one. This is for the student supplies. So you put all the pens, the scissors, everything all inside here. And then the bag to put in when they go to school, they get to use this. Yeah, a lot of people like this bag because when you go marketing, right, super heavy duty. The ones that we used previously, the non-woven, the lifespan, 1-2 years before it becomes brittle. This one, environmental friendly and has lining all inside, so you can really use it for years without even breaking it. So when we go for designs like this, right, a lot of thought process has been put in to make sure that they last long enough. Let's say if you can last 3 to 5 years, everything, then it's money well spent.
Do you mind if I take some photos? I like to sketch some of this as well. I'm deeply inspired from all of this.
Sure.
I've been trying to sketch out and try to brainstorm my initial design. And just like all the paper bags that we saw by my old school, I thought maybe I can just slap the item in the middle and just maybe roll with that. But I think it looks almost a little bit minimalistic, which is something that I promised I didn't want to try to go to. And this is what it looks like. It does look a little lackluster, so maybe I should just go in a different direction. So what I'm learning right now is that my visit to Sin Hin Chuan Ki, where I met Kenny, he showed me all these packaging styles that he has, and the one that really popped up for me was this particular blue one. It's this particular blue one that he has, and it looks a little creative, and I think I want to try something creative like that as well, because it showcases all of the different variety of products that he has. And I think I want to try that, maybe with Uncle Saba's Poppadoms, I can just showcase all the different packages that he packaged his chips in, and also the different flavors that he has as well. And I think I should really tap into that. I'm designing a vintage-themed signboard and a carrier bag for snack manufacturer Uncle Saba's. I need some tools from the past to help me get the right look, so I'm making a trip down to Straits Arts Co., an art store which has been around since 1947.
I've been here a lot as a child, but like don't really know the history of this place.
It started with my grandfather, who was a signboard painter, and he did a lot of works with paint, onto cinemas and all that. And he found that there was some difficulty with obtaining paint in Singapore. As such, he started a shop with his friends, as one of the pioneer batches of NAFA. And that's what the old shop looked like. And in one of these three people is in fact my grandfather. This photo was taken many years ago. The shop is now 77 years. It was started in 1947. It is in fact one of the oldest art stores in Singapore, in fact the oldest.
I have a client who wants me to do graphic design for them, but they want it to be vintage.
Okay,
So I'm actually inspired by Sin Hin Chuan Ki. They did this graphic for their own paper bags. And I'm trying to emulate this as this.
I can show you some tips on how to make it look a bit more realistic. Back then, the graphic artists would do this mostly in pen nibs and ink, and there wasn't a whole lot of other things that they could use to achieve this effect. So we're going to try and do the same. So these here are all the nibs we collected over the years. You can see that the condition is as much as possible maintained to a certain standard. With the history of our company, we have had some experience with graphic design and the old style of advertising. Maybe I can show you.
Illustrating with pen nibs and ink used to be one of my favorite drawing techniques. I wonder if Tae Yu can share some pointers so that I can improve my craft.
Cross-hatching technique is actually just crossing. So you draw lines in almost equidistant from one another, and then you cross over with the same amount of distance as well. So that's just crossing lines. Yeah, but how do you make it even darker? You kind of squeeze it up. You ensure there's no space in between the lines. You tighten up those spaces to make it darker. And of course, you don't just do it on one direction, you also do it on the other as well.
I see it. Yeah, I can see there's some density happening right there. And it's been a while since I've done this. We're going to sketch this. All right, now let's do the back. Oh, I've made a mistake. I didn't get to draw the tearing part, so it looks like a pillow now. Okay.
Right. Well, you'll have to work with it, I think. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do.
I'll have to improvise something here.
Absolutely.
Embarrassingly, because I had been out of touch with pen and paper, because I've been drawing digitally, even though a reference was put right in front of me and I was intending to draw an otter on the bag, what came out to be was a duck on a pillow.
Well, I think there's a lot of expression involved in us. You have a very fine imagination, so to speak. You've used the hatching to a great effect, and then you've darkened the areas without using hatching here. So to some extent, you understood that below that packet or pillow, there is a shadow underlying. You can, of course, extend the shadow a little bit, depending on the direction of the light. Yeah.
Okay, let me give that a go. I think maybe I can just accentuate it a bit, like make it look...
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that.
I think so. This isn't actually hatching. This is something I'm making up on the fly
right now. It's fine. It's maybe underwater now.
You're right.
That's like a good idea, yeah.
After sketching for quite some time, I'm really taken aback by how different my art styles is before and after my visit to Straits Arts. This is before. I thought maybe if I want to slap my own design onto it, and create all these texts, it looks a little bit too modern and a little bit too clean. My assumption was that I wanted to get it printed onto a paper bag, and maybe the paper bag might give it that rustic look, but I don't want to put all my bets on it. This is what I've come up with, albeit it's not on paper and not with pen, but it's on my own iPad. And yeah, and I think this is the kind of style I want to go for, you know? Something that's also realistic, but also vintage as well. Polyethylene bags or plastic bags were very popular in Singapore from the 1970s to the 1980s. Similar to paper bags, companies use plastic bags as a form of advertising. While my design for Uncle Saba's is meant for paper bags, I want to examine the artwork of unique plastic bags and see if I can incorporate that into my design. When it comes to plastic bags, there is one that all Singaporeans will instantly recognize. The blue Jyoti flower shop bag. I'm going to find out the origins of this iconic design.
This design is something that, it's been since 1960.
1960s? Wow.
Yeah, this same design, it's for the flower shop. It was actually hand-drawn in India by an artist. Because the flower shop is the icon for Jyoti, and when you look at this plastic bag, this special design for the flower shop with the bride and groom, and this has been hand-drawn 1960, and we've been using this same design for the flower shop design.
Wow, from the looks of it, you guys also have the garland motif, just like the ones that you guys are selling here.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And because this is the advertisement for the flower shop. Separately, when you look at this is the advertisement for the store.
Then what does the original old design look like?
It's very seldom that someone has asked me this. I think you're the first person who have come across.
Wow, actually, quite big.
This one, when you look at the phone number, you will know.
Oh, yes. Oh, I've never seen very small digits. 31...
Yeah, it's only 5-digit phone number.
5 digits.
So this is during the 60s.
Who made these designs?
My dad, who started this business in 1960, he got someone from India to design this. And during the early days, it's not like now, we have our mobile phone, email, internet. They don't have such things like this. So he used to write letters to India, to his business friends to find who can do this. Then they found a friend and they did a small drawing and they posted it. He sent another letter back asking them to add more details of the address, phone numbers, and so forth, and some new changes. All this doesn't take 1-2 days, it takes months.
But how do you guys do your own graphics now?
Oh, now it's all changed. Now everything is in the computer. We have kept all the design about the same. Very, very slight changes here and there. So we just send him a message, okay, this size we need 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, and he just prints and sends it to us.
Jyoti's store showed me that they actually kept their own legacy in their own packaging, and I decided that maybe I want to also do that for Uncle Saba's Poppadoms. So I implemented Uncle Saba's old address into the design.
After much research, inspiration and doodling, I have something for Srinivas. I'm a bit nervous and I really hope that he will like my draft design. First up, I show him what I envisioned to be the signboard.
This is a mock-up of what it looks like. It's very rough around the edges. This is how I envision the image will look like.
Look, overall I love it because it's direct and it mentions the 4 languages. So I think so far it's looking really good.
For the Otter design, I wanted to do something that's iconic but very simple. These are the paperback carrier designs that I saw throughout my entire expedition around Singapore. So of course we have the famous Jyoti store plastic bag, and then we have the Sihin Chuan key, which shows all of their haberdashery materials, all their sewing kits, their buttons, their fasteners, their zippers. And then when I went down to buy my old school, I found some old relics of old paperbacks as well. Here we can also see things that I didn't think exist anymore. It's like looking at relics from in a museum,
I feel like I've gone back in time to my childhood looking at all of this.
Next, the carrier bag.
This is one of the final designs I have intentions of trying to get to print. So of course, it shows you popping out the canisters and then also opening up from the back, which is what Poppadoms also sold in, and then also having it with dip as well. And I wanted to also show how attractive it is. That's why I used like very big, bold fonts as well. And there you have it, the iconic otter as well. So, what do you think?
Oh man, look, it's great, but honestly, I think there's a little bit too much going on. You know, I feel like I'm at a buffet. There's just so much over there and I really don't know what to pick. It comes back to what you were saying before, Syaqil. It's all about being simple and direct.
So, in other words, it's just too cluttered right now.
Yep.
I think I feel a bit more relieved because he was quite knowledgeable with design as well. And showing him my thought process and him understanding where I'm coming from really made me feel a little bit at ease. But what really sets me back is the fact that I put so much into the graphic design when instead I could have just made it quite simple.
Srinivas has a point. Less is more. Come to think of it, while I researched enough heritage paper and plastic bag designs, I did not do the same for vintage signboards. Perhaps they don't have to be chock full of motifs and text. I'm going to find some businesses with a rich history that I can delve into. I managed to find an old-school heritage eatery that might just fit the bill. Hillman Restaurant, established in 1963 and serving authentic Cantonese cuisine throughout the years. Their signature dishes might have remained the same, but their signboards have definitely evolved over time.
Those days when my grandfather started this restaurant in 1963, he used this logo as a signature because this dish, clay pot cup fish, it was very popular when he started it as a popular dish on the menu. After that, the logo and the signboard, it was up and it was very popular with the local customers as well. But over the years, people don't eat cutfish anymore because they see it as koi fish. Koi fish is like pet, you know. So now we change it to grouper fish. And it has stuck with us for over the years since 1963. This one is the very first initial design by my grandfather. So this is his handwriting with the drawing, and this is done by the signboard company who did the graphic. After the signboard, we decided to have food menu because those days my grandfather, when they started, they don't have menu. Everything is written on the wall. You know, the customers sit down, they will just say, oh, I want this, I want that, you know, it's written on the wall. This was the very first menu with the logo in the fish. You see, this is a cup fish, actually.
I can see that. The fact that it started off from the ground up with a very simple name to its brand, and eventually they found themselves a logo for their own brand, you know, a clay pot fish, which is quite iconic, and I really had to make something equally as iconic as Hillman's restaurant logo for Uncle Saba.
My restaurant visit was a good start, but I really want to track down an expert on signboards. Richard mentioned that there are companies that specialize in designing them, so I managed to find one just like that.
Can you tell me about the first signages in Singapore?
Oh yes, we transport them in bullock cart and we install them with bamboo ladders.
Mr. Lim explains that Globe Art Studio began in 1938, offering services such as the fabrication of outdoor advertising, shop signage, cinema posters, and even billboard painting. Respectfully, I see the second-generation owner Mr. Lim as my Wikipedia of sorts on the evolution of shop signboards.
Now these are the early days hand-painted English letterings, Chinese calligraphy, and even the forklift there is painted by an artist. All right?
Oh, it's hand-drawn.
Yes. These are very trendy in the 50s, 60s, and even the 70s because it's cost-effective. So later, after the 70s, woodcraft came in. So they were die-cutted I mean, in that sense, they were handcrafted to give it depth and perspective.
That entire thing is wood.
Yes, it's wooden individual letterings, the logo, the Chinese characters, and the English letterings. And they were painted and mounted. Then, towards the 70s, also acrylic came in and we hand cut it. My signboard in the 70s, Globe Art, is also wood with acrylic. So you could see the Hong Soon equipment there is die-cutted individual letterings. So that's in the 80s. And in the 90s, the inkjet came in. It's like a giant photostat machine. So you just photostat, you don't have to hand paint it. The one outside here is acrylic, unlighted, and as I said, hand-painted letterings, and later it evolved, right? At that time, it was still hand-cut letterings, no die-cutting machine. Die-cutting machine came in 1984, the earliest one, but they were small letterings. The bigger letterings need to be hand-cut. So it's hand-cut stickers over it. Some actually even continue to do painting.
Hand-cut lettering? How hard can it be? Mr. Lim has agreed to give me a lesson.
And up, down. Just now you should
These tools I'm using are really old school. I take back my words.
You cannot. Just now you should continue to cut over, so that when you then you turn at the same time. You know what I mean? While cutting, so you have the excess. Yeah, you are.
All right, let's go.
That's it. Yeah, you do a good job. So if my machine breaks down, I'll call you in. So when you want to turn, just
like
continue moving.
I got it.
You got to hang on it. Good. There's extra space. There you are, your L. There goes your L.
To think that signages back then were made with acrylics like this in this method, instead of how laser cut things are now, this is quite a feat to achieve back then. Thank you for showing me how to do this. It's really not that easy.
Oh, you're not done.
Oh, I'm not done?
You have to start hand polishing all the corners and make sure it's straight.
Is that harder than this? Alright, what's next?
I'm going to show you in the good old days how we do signage and cinema posters or banners, right? We don't have that inkjet technology or the computer. So the old school is to use the old projector. We draw artwork, put it on the projector and project it onto the screen.
Hey, I'm about just done.
You're lucky you're doing it indoor, right? Away from the elements of the rain and the sun. Now look at your letter A, right? If the rain comes in, this is what will happen. And it won't happen to your letter A, it will happen to the whole sign, which is on the side wall. Most people also want to have a sign on the back wall of their offices. The whole artwork is ruined. You have to repaint it.
Honestly, don't think I could ever do this in like a very huge setting. Maybe not yet, maybe not now, yeah. But this has been a very enriching experience, and I feel some sort of confidence now that I've got to try this. If there's anything I learned from both Hillman and Globe Art Studio is that I think Uncle Saba's signboard, I can already use his own logo because that logo that he has is already very iconic, it's very eye-catching. But I think to really complement it and to maybe amplify it, if I dare say so, is to maybe add very large fonts, very big, bold fonts that just scream his brand out into the masses. And maybe that might be something that Srinivas might be keen to look at.
In a fit of excitement, I sent in my first draft of the paperback to a letterpress printing company to see how it would turn out. my design may have gone through some changes since, but fortunately, I was able to retain the same color scheme. The printing company informed me that a letterpress template is ready. I can't wait to see if the colors actually pop. Letterpress was one of the main methods of printing in the 1950s right up till the 80s. With this method, ink is applied to a raised surface and then pressed against paper to create the design.
Letterpress has been with the company for a long time. This is a company that was started by my grandfather back in 1969. This is actually my grandfather standing in front of his company. It's called Papypress. And then this is even the photo of some of the old machines that are inside the company. And the one just behind here is a machine that we use for letterpress printing. Yes, this is the one that you sent to me.
Yes.
Okay. I think the method that you requested for was to use letterpress printing.
Yes.
It's a very old school method of printing. I think this will look quite good because it's already done in like 2 colors. But I think it will come out quite patchy because it's large areas of solids. These are actually individual letters if you look at it. And what happens is that a person would put it all together into a form and then it prep for printing.
A form is an arrangement of the individual letters packed tightly into a frame. These letters are placed in a mirror image for printing. Back in the past, people who used to do this were called compositors.
Come, let me show you what these individual characters look like. These are old school lead types. So if you look here, they're actually all individually placed. And what happens is that the draftsman will actually come and then he will pick up all the individual letters and then put it together into the form, and that was what you saw just now.
Oh, I see. Oh my goodness, they're quite light, like on its own, but like when they are combined, it's quite heavy.
Correct. So this is our production area. This is the guy that we'll be printing on. You can bring this over to the table for me. All right. Heavy. Okay.
Since my design cannot be printed with the typical typed letters, Ian was kind enough to fabricate a customized plate for me.
So what we have here is actually called the base. Okay, and these polymer plates will have to be stuck on so that it can be raised up. Right, so to simulate like the lead types that we had, if you realize it was long, so this is actually the height, and then what we're going to do is we're going to be placing the plates here. It's an adhesive backing, so if you actually help me peel it off, there you go. So you just use the grid lines to guide you. Okay.
Should we go again?
Yep. Okay, all the way.
When the imposition is completed, ink is applied onto the roller and the printing press can finally get to work.
There we go. Okay. Let's see.
Oh my goodness.
It's patchy though.
It's patchy, but this is exactly what I'm looking for. It looks amazing.
I think it's a nice color.
Yeah, it's a bit desaturated. I feel like this is exactly what I envision it to look like. I really love it. Can I keep this?
Yes, you can.
I would say going to Papypress was the most fun activity I've done in quite a while. When I found out that I was working with the Heidelberg machine, it really blew my mind away. And when I saw the design, I was really ecstatic to see how it turned out. The rough patches of it look really, really vintage.
I want to catch up on some things with you, but first, I have a surprise for you.
Go on.
Ta-da!
Whoa!
This is printed with a Heidelberg press, a very classical printing machine that uses a giant pressure to paste its ink onto it. How does it look? Does it look vintage to you?
It looks super vintage, but looks super cool as well. Wow, this is great.
All right, so now that we've got this out of the way, let's move on to the final designs. This is the signage I've come up with with 2 new otters to the mix.
It's really cool. I love Abang Otter over here. He looks like he could be working in a hawker center. But Syaqil, I just have one question for you.
Yes.
What kind of straw is that? Is that plastic or paper?
Oh man. It's a plastic straw?
Oh man. Jokes aside, you know, we're a brand about sustainability.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't really... Oh, I remember you mentioning this. How could it slip from my mind? I'll find a way to remove it. But...
Yeah, I think this one can go, but this one can stay.
The fact that I had drawn a plastic straw in the graphic. Ouch. For the company that's trying to emphasize on sustainability, having a plastic in their graphic is really a no-go. So then he made a suggestion to change the straw into something like a sugarcane or bamboo sticking out of the cup.
The bag, which also features your products and also another otter as well. These are 2 variations which I have furnished for you to choose from.
This otter right here just basically looks like me every day when I'm sitting on the bed munching some Poppadom. So I actually really love this. I love both, but I think, you know, if you go for a bag like this, it could do really well with Mr. Otter over here. And I really love all the details. For example, the otter, he's sleeping on a bag which says R. Kailasam Pillai & Co., which is actually the name of my grandfather's shop. How about that?
I'm so happy that you actually noticed that. Overall, from any of this, any feedbacks for me?
You know, last time, honestly, I was a little bit concerned because there was so much going on. I think this is so much better than before. I'm really looking forward to see what the final product will be like.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I am making the final changes to my design, but Srinivas has requested a quick online meeting. Hope it's not bad news.
So thank you for all the really fabulous work that you sent across. I showed it to all of my team and every one of us really loved it. And we had some thoughts that I wanted to discuss with you. You know, personally, I really like this because, you know, there's something cool about it. So I thought, why don't we also use it on the storefront of our pop-ups that we do all the time?
That sounds amazing. When will the launch be?
So the launch is going to be all of next week, and I really hope you'll be able to make it in person as well.
I most definitely can. I will be there on the double. Hi, Auntie.
Hi. Papypress is here.
Oh, can I see one?
Sure, you may.
Ooh, this looks amazing than I thought. What do you think, Auntie?
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, it turned out better than I expected.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Srinivas.
How are you?
I'm good.
Amazing.
There you have it.
Yep, really good job.
Thank you.
I think you really managed to capture exactly what I was thinking, and you brought it to life because our traditional heritage company and brand has been around for so long. You've brought it to 2024, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I'm actually feeling teary right now.
No. Okay, high five.
This is so good.
Great. And the good thing is, it's no longer a plastic straw. So at least now we have a bamboo straw, I think.
Growing up, I really felt there was a rigidity in graphic design and art in general because I think what I was learning in secondary school and also poly was all standardized, you know. Overall, the graphic design landscape in Singapore, everything became minimalistic, but we really can't deny that there's a really cold corporate feel to it. And going back to the roots of graphic design from my own journey in this project just showed me how warm our past really was with all these maximalist designs. They were really noisy to the eyes, but they really had a story and had something to share with the world. I will be very sentimental to say that we do have a duty to preserving the visual design landscape of Singapore, but I think we should also build upon it.